Welcome to Out of the Rough. I'm Fred Arnold, and in this show we're going to highlight opportunities and solutions to help get you out of the rough and into success both personally and professionally. In these tough economic times, I want to provide you practical solutions to many of life's challenges. And today, I'm here with Scott Jette. Scott Jette is a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
That's right.
He's also a consultant with Credo Consulting, a CEO that consults businesses, and the author of Core Wisdom. Core Wisdom. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, what inspired you to write this book from your experience in being a veteran in the Marines?
Well, I found that over the years, as I was consulting with businesses and doing management training and doing even life coaching with some individuals, that I was more and more often bringing military examples into the situation to help them solve their problems. You know, for instance, we used to do this in the military, this could help you here. And I came to realize just how much those things I learned as a young man in the Marine Corps were shaping every decision I was making in my life and how I approached problems and how I had success. And one of my clients at one point said to me, you know, you really should put this into a book so it can have some wider distribution and more people can learn from it. And I said, great, so we did it.
Yeah, putting wisdom, you know, I was reading the book and a couple of the chapters I want to talk to you about. One of them that caught me is chapter 9. It talked about channeling and the analogy to the battlefield.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're in the offensive on a battlefield and you're moving towards your objective, you've chosen where you want to go and you're moving towards it, the enemy will try to stop you from getting there by putting obstacles in your way. And what they expect those obstacles to do, there's no obstacles you can't get over. There are obstacles you will choose not to get over because they're fearful and they're uncomfortable, so you might choose to go around them. Then they put another obstacle, you go around that, another obstacle, you go around that, and they're channelizing you away from the path you chose for yourself, which was a good path, towards the path they want you to be on, which is a place where you're weak and exposed and vulnerable. And the way that it works in life is you choose an objective, a business objective, a personal objective, and as you start to move towards it, you will inevitably face fears. Some kind of fear will get in your way. If you face the fear and traverse the fear and conquer the fear and go over it, you stay on your path to success. But if you just try and go around the fear and avoid the fear, you're just going to hit another fear and then another fear. And now you're being channelized away from your point of strength into a place of weakness. And it's going to be hard for you to accomplish that goal.
And when you see that obstacle, of course you want to sit back, analyze that obstacle just like the military does, and come up with a solution. And don't let that obstacle drive what your core purpose, core goal was.
Sure. I mean, if you're afraid of heights, don't just jump off a building. You know, do something intelligent. Get some help. Talk to people who've dealt with this. But the point is, face it and learn to overcome it.
Overcome it versus going around it.
Versus going around and avoiding it.
Yes, yes. One of the next chapter, chapter 7, is wait a minute, vine. What does,
Wait a minute,
what
vine.
does that mean?
Yeah, running through the foliage at Camp Lejeune, where I did my initial training, are these small little vines that we refer to as wait a minute vines. Because as you're patrolling through the brush or crawling through the brush, they have little hooks on them, and they'll catch you. And it causes you to wait a minute and unhook them and keep moving. But because they're so small and they seem to be so innocent and so weak, a lot of times you won't stop. You'll just try to push through, particularly if you're crawling. I'll just keep going. And the further you push, you can't break them. They're ridiculously strong. And they wrap around you and you become consumed in them, and then you can't
And then you
deal
get
with
caught
them.
by quite a few vines and it becomes almost impossible.
More and more. And you start to give yourself way. And because you didn't deal with it when it was small and easy to deal with, now you find yourself completely engrossed in it, and now it's quite a job. Now you have to back up to deal with it and lose ground that you gained.
Yeah, and we find that a lot in life, don't we? We find where there was a small problem, and a small problem's turned into a huge challenge.
Sure, and a lot of times those are people problems because a lot of us aren't comfortable with confrontation. And if you have somebody in your organization and you start to hear things about how they're doing things, or maybe there's things, maybe they're coming in late or they're handling the department in a way you're uncomfortable with, but you're thinking, well, I don't want to deal with that. It's just fine. I'm busy over here. We're going forward. That's a small problem right now. If you take a minute to deal with it, it'll go away. Yeah. If you ignore it and keep moving, it just grows and it affects more people and it affects your clients. And by the time it gets really big, you're going to be wishing you could go back and unhook it when it was small.
Unhook the small, small vine. Brilliant. Next chapter I want to talk about is, and it means a lot of things to different people, initiative.
Yeah, initiative, in the military context, what they teach us is that you cannot win a battle unless you have the initiative. If you lose the initiative, you lose the battle. You win the initiative, you win the battle. And what that means, well, a lot of us are probably more familiar with a sports concept where you're watching your team play, and whether they're up on the scoreboard or down on the scoreboard, you have this sinking feeling they're just not going to win. And sport fans go, well, they've lost the momentum. My team has the momentum, they're going to win. They lose the momentum, they're going to lose. It's the same thing, but the way the military defines it is, if you're reacting to something rather than having something react to you, you don't have the initiative. You're not controlling the environment. So if the enemy is doing things you didn't expect, you're having to change your plans to deal with them. you're now losing the momentum or losing the initiative. And no matter how much progress you've made or what the scoreboard says, ultimately you will lose the battle if you don't regain the initiative.
You know, when you talk about initiative, what I think about sometimes is the fact that if you pre-plan for the obstacles that are going to be thrown in your way because they're channeling you somewhere else.
Well,
part of initiative is the planning ahead of time.
Well, that's a terrific example. If you look at the events of Black Hawk Down in the 90s, when the Army Rangers were bogged down in Somalia, and they had planned, if a helicopter goes down, we know what to do. If a helicopter goes down, we know what to do. When a third helicopter went down, they hadn't planned for that. And at that moment, they lost the initiative and they started to pull back in the battle. First two they planned for, and so that wasn't a problem.
Right.
But it went beyond what they planned for.
Is that pre-planning? Do you mind staying for another break?
No, of course.
I'd love to talk to you more about a field manual for life, core wisdom. I'm here with Scott Jette from Credo Consulting. We'll be right back.